everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today we're going to wrap up everything on this old 8N and get it outside and see what she's got. First thing we're going to deal with is this top link. This is an original one. Most of us will be used to the threaded ones, that, you know, the ones that look like a giant turnbuckle that we get at TSC or that are, you know, equipment on a newer tractor. But on these old N-Series Fords and Fergusons, this is what we had. It had very limited adjustability, and that was your top link. So the problem we have with this is the balls on the ends are all busted up. So you can buy new ends at TSC. They're like 10 bucks each. So what I have to decide I'm going to do is I can either put this thing in the mill and go down it with a hole saw like that and cut that off, which will leave me a nice place to weld the new one on, or I can open that and just press the ball out and get the ball out of here, just literally replace the ball. I have to think about that for a minute and decide which way I want to go. Well, let's try doing it this way first. So what I did, I've used my angle grinder and cut a slot across there. Now we're going to go over to the hydraulic press and see. I should be able to just push on this ball, and that should just spread that out and pop the ball out. So the old ball just popped right out. And then what I did was I got this new one and I cut through each side of it with the die grinder. Now I'm going to use a chisel and split it. And if I'm wrong, I will specify this. There we go. Got it out. There's the two balls. So now we're going to go over to the press and see if we can push that one in. We're not here to overthrow the government. There we go. It's perfect. Awesome. I'll just, you know, work it a little bit with a hammer, take up a little more of that play, and that'll be good. I'm going to do the other side now. And there they are. I'll put a second coat of paint on them tomorrow. Now we're going to get the front wheels and tires built up. First thing I'm going to do is I've got a large countersink in my drill here, and I'm just going to go around and clean the paint where the lug nuts go. That'll accomplish two things. Number one, it'll let us get an accurate, be accurate when we tighten the wheels. And number two, this paint, you scrunch a lug nut down onto it and it becomes like super glue. And you'll come, you know, 10 years later to try and get these nuts off, and it'll be like they're welded on there. So that'll just give it a chance to have metal on metal rather than metal on paint. At least the front ones we can do on the old Coach tire machine here. The back ones we'll be doing on the floor. That'll be fun. I haven't done that in a long time. Hopefully my back is up to it. They look super. Now we can put them on. Well, there's a surprise. These wheels are not exactly the right wheels for this tractor. It was just a nice matching pair that I came across in a load of tires that I bought at an auction last summer. What I found out when I went to put them on, I never thought to check because these things are always all the same bolt pattern. But, the register on my hubs is 4 5/8 or so. Something like that. Maybe 4 9/16. And the register hole on these wheels is only 4 1/2. So, I'll show you what I've done. I just get my die grinder with a carbide burr, and I go around and around and around and around and around. And it takes a bit of time, but it does the job. See, we got this one done. So we'll just get that one done, and it'll all be fine. One of those little things. I was ready to pull the trigger on a brand new pair of front wheels for this. They were like $100 a piece, but these ones popped up. If you go back to my video called The Great Tire Pile, you'll see where we found these two wheels. Well, she's got two wheels now. Now we're going to go ahead and install our front bumper. So it mounts on these two bolts here, and naturally you need longer ones. So you can buy these. I got them at, I don't know, one of the places that sells the tractor parts. And these just push out. Theoretically, you probably shouldn't take these out when the weight's on it, but I guess that one's good and tight and it's holding everything. So we'll hang it on that one, and then we'll stick the other one through once the bumper's in position. Now you'll notice when you put these bumpers on, an original Ford one has got a little kink in it right there, and the aftermarket ones are straight. This is an aftermarket one. Why does it have that little kink in it? I'm pretty sure it's so you can still get the crank in, because obviously on this, there will be no putting the crank in. Anyway, I'm still going to mount the crank on the tractor because I just made a little bracket for it. So we'll go ahead and put that on next. So here's a little bracket. It just goes on one of the transmission bolts here. And that holds our hand crank. This hand crank and little bracket are pirated from a Ferguson tractor, an English Ferguson. They all had this little setup. Ford's used a similar crank. Anyway, I had this stuff lying around, so what the heck, I throw it on. Here's the next catastrophe we have to deal with. This is an original N-Series rad cap. It should go on here like so. But our crappy aftermarket rad takes a different rad cap. Now, it came with the rad cap, but that does me no good because I want this on there. So what we have to do is drill these two spot welds and get this separated from here, and then we have to weld this one into there. And once I get this one out, I'll show you what the difference is. There, so you can see the difference, eh? This one, the neck on the old rad was a lot deeper than this aftermarket thing. So what we have to do is get this tacked into there, and we should be okay. There you go, got it in position. I'll just go ahead and tack it in now with the welder, and then we'll dress down the welds and it'll be good like new. I got one back tire built up. Now I'm going to do the other one. I'll give you kind of the Reader's Digest version. I'm not very good at it, so I'm not going to embarrass myself showing you how I do this. I'm sure there's lots of step-by-step really good videos about doing tractor tires on YouTube. I suggest if you're interested in doing this yourself, you look up one of those. But I'll show you kind of the basic steps. So how I do it, I don't know if it's the right way or not. I put the rim face down on the ground. Now I just painted these so there's some cardboard there for it to sit on. And this is the side that's going to face us, so it goes down over the rim first. Very important to find your arrows. There it is there on the tire. And make sure you've got these oriented the right way. When you build up your rears, you got to have one going each way because, of course, tractor tires are directional. Here's my tools of the trade and a gallon of tire lube. Some guys like to use diesel fuel because it makes this rubber really slippery, but that's what I use. So you just get it started like that. You use your body weight, you kind of sit on it, and you use your bars and stuff, and you work your way around. Then all of a sudden, it'll go pop, and it'll be on. Okay, once you've got the first bead popped over, sit the tire on two pieces of 6x6, one on each side, like that. That'll hold it up so we can put the tube in. So we just take off the valve cap and this nut. Now we need our tube snake, and it's very important how you put this thing in. You do it wrong and you can get the tube twisted, and that's bad. It's got to come up through the rim like that, through the tube, and on like that. I'll show you a better picture of it once I got it on there. Okay, so through the valve stem, around the rim, and this way to the inside of the tube like that. Then we can just work our way around and stuff the tube in and use that snake to pull the valve out. Then we can put the retaining nut on and that'll hold the tube in. Now to get this side on, what I do is I put a wooden block there to hold up this side of the rim. And then I put a wooden block there under the tire. That, I don't know, for me seems to work best. And then I just start over here. And I just start working my way around. And it takes a few minutes, but you get it on.
What else is
and then when you get it to here, you can't really get the bar in anymore. You just give it a bang.
some of the trucks. We have an update on what's
Whew.
with the trucks.
Whew!
In Ottawa, that have been confiscated.
That's a lot of work.
I don't know what the hell.
Now we can inflate it. Always check on the sidewall what it says, the maximum pressure when seating the beads. This one says 35. That one, it got to 20 and it's seated. So hopefully, because we did our good work on the inside of the wheel, grinding off the rust and putting that shiny paint on it, it should just go right up. I'll be back in a minute when I'm done. While we were building up the tires, the paint on our rad cap dried, so we can put that on. That kind of finishes the front of it up, I'd say. Wow, this thing is going to be snazzy. I had these really nice old reflectors kicking around, so I put them on that license plate bracket. What the heck? Theoretically, it should have 2 reflectors on the back of it. So, there I go. They're just not on the same side. I left the wheels overnight for our paint touch-ups to dry. Now we're going to put them together. The first thing we have to do is put the centers in the wheels. Now you'll notice these are kind of ingenious. You can narrow and widen these tractors to your heart's content. It's got all these different holes in the front axle, so you can move them in and out. The front wheels are reversible, and same with these. The discs, these holes are countersunk on each side, so you can put the discs hither or yon. You can put them on either side of the rim, and you can turn the rims around. Although if you turn them around, you have to flip them from side to side to keep the tires going the same direction. This is all outlined in the user's manual. I think there's 8 different settings for this. Anyway, we're going with the factory default, which is narrow. So it's the disc drawn over the end of the hub like this, and on the back of the wide side of the rim. So first thing I've done, I've cleaned the paint out of the lug nut seats, and I've cleaned the paint out of these holes here. So what we're going to do now is very carefully get the disc in. You have to be careful you don't nick the valve stem. And then we're going to hold it. We're going to hold it with these 2 old 5/8 bolts. And then we can put the other 4 bolts in and get the nuts started. So there we are, all together. The bolts are tightened. Now I'm going to show you how to get this thing on the tractor. First thing we have to do is get it off the axle stand. So how I normally do this, I use a trolley jack like this, and I jack it right under there. Now we'll roll the tire over. Now, I said this before on other videos. I'll say it again. If your tires have calcium in them, use an engine crane or something to put them on and off. They're really unwieldy. So to get it on, you kind of lean it toward yourself a little bit, and you just jiggle it in like that, and then you stand it up. Now, a couple of things we might have to do here. Okay, you can see here, it's really close. We just have to jack the tractor up a tiny bit. Golly! We got to turn it just a hair. There we go. Ta-da! And then Once you got one nut started, you're safe. So I'll go around, get all the nuts started, and pull them in with a speeder. You could also get, back in the day, little extensions. So you would take off the nuts, and these extensions would go on. It was just a long lug nut with a stud on the end, and that was so you could get another pair of wheels and make duals on your 8N. Pretty cool. I guess in certain soil conditions, jack this thing up here. In certain soil conditions, that would be beneficial. Okay, you probably don't want to watch me do this all the way around, so I'll be back when I'm done. Now we'll get our torque wrench here. I've just got it set to 120, kind of conservative, but this stuff is old, man. Better safe than sorry. Last thing we have to do is tighten the nuts, the axle nuts. If you recall from earlier video when we did the brake job on this thing, the hub is on a tapered spline. And it needs this nut to draw the hub down onto the spline that keeps everything tight. If it gets loose, then the brakes get oiled and everything gets worn and you're in a world of hurt. So, this nut gets tightened to 450 foot-pounds. I'm not going to do that on camera because the way I do it is a little unorthodox, and I don't want to give any of the viewers any ideas of silly ways to kill themselves. And then all the way around it, you can see here, there's 6 holes. So you need to, once you've got it tight, you need to line up, see which one of these holes is closest to one of these grooves, and this clip goes in there and locks the nut so the nut can't come loose. They give you 2 grooves on kind of different angles, so hopefully you'll have one close. Get it to 450 and then tighten it a little bit more to get your groove to line up. So now we've got this thing tightened up, and this hole here in the nut lines up nicely with the slot. So what we're going to do is you get the tail of that in there, just kind of start it. And we just work around it with a screwdriver. Doesn't always go right on the first time. Sometimes it flies. There we go. All right. Now we just got to get it into the groove here. There. And then tap that down in. There we go. So that's it. The nut is tight and locked. It's not going anywhere. Now I'll just get my brush with my red paint and touch this up a little bit so it doesn't rust. And that's all done. Here we are at the worst part of working on any N-Series tractor, trying to get this dang shift boot on. I've got them on before by turning them inside out and soap, and oh, it's just ugly. So I figured that in the factory, they must have had some kind of tool to do it. So I made this little boot stretching tool. I just made a new, like a little attachment for my convertible snap ring plier. So we're going to pop this thing on here and see if we can get it on the tractor. Well, so far so good. Now, if I can just get the tool out of here without popping the boot off, we're going to win. There we go. It messed up the paint a little bit, but that's a price I'm willing to pay. I've gone around it now. I've checked all our fluids. I replaced all the grease fittings and greased it up. Now I put some gasoline in it. And so far, so good. When this thing is closed, it doesn't leak. So we're going to open this up now. There we are. It'll be filling up the carburetor now. We'll turn the battery on. And we're ready to try it out. Well, the first quick little spin around the yard was a success. Nothing blew up and we made it back. So all I want to do now is I'm going to quickly check the toe on the front end and tighten down the drag links, and then I'll top up the gas and we'll take it for a good run. Well, here we are. You can see it's charging. Oil pressure looks good. And it's so nice. The engine sounds so good. I have never ever had one that actually had an original Ford muffler on it. And this one does. And I can't believe how great it sounds. It's just beautiful. I have to try and make some of those. I've got an original Ford muffler that's kind of rotted out so I can see what's inside it. And I'm going to try and make some of them. Oh, this thing just runs beautiful. One thing I always wanted was just one really nice 8N, and now I've got one. There's a couple of little things that I got to deal with. The steering to the right seems to be kind of tight, so I'll have to have a look at that. It steers to the left okay. Anyway, I'll see you back in the shop. Well, I took it for a spin around the farm, and everything seemed to be okay. The steering seems to be loosening up a tiny bit, so maybe that's not as bad as it seemed. I tried the Sherman, that works. So right now that's in normal, and when you pull it back, it's in overdrive. So that works just fine. All the gears work fine. The brakes work good. I think she's a going concern. I got just a couple more little things to do to it, and then I guess we can call her done. Oh, there's our top link all fixed up, back together. We can go put it back on. Well, there we go. That looks good sitting there. And I guess that'll do it. I think at this point we can call this one done. Wow. Well, that was quite a project. It was literally years and years and years and years that I monkeyed around with it. If this is the first video in the series you're seeing, you can go back, open up my channel and go into the playlist. And this tractor, 1948 Ford 8N, has an entire playlist all its own. I think there's 12 or 13 videos in the series. So we're going to wrap it up now. And I will likely in the coming days do just kind of an overview video of the tractor itself, you know, tell a little bit about it and some of its features, etc. But for now, this is it for the actual project. I hope you'll tune in next time to see what we're up to next. You never know around here. It could be anything. I don't even know. Anyway, thanks for tuning in again, and we'll catch you next time on the Claremont Classic Garage. So long!